with our Indiana County Commissioners, brought to you this morning, as always, by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Commissioner Mike Keith, Commissioner Shireen Hess, and Robin Gorman on the line with us this morning. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to have you all with us here today. Commissioner's chairman is Mike Keith. Mike, the county is, we're getting all kinds of information coming in about COVID relief and various efforts to maybe ease the burden on some folks. What's the latest from the county on all of these announcements that have been coming the last couple of days?
Quite a bit. Actually, I know that we might be sounding redundant and we might be starting to keep on putting out the same message all the time, but we really want to, speak on the CHIRP program, and that has to do with the hospitality relief program to the restaurant industry, and also the ERSIP. We want to speak, on behalf of that, and then I thought maybe we can go into the American Rescue Plan. Don't know a lot about it yet, but we can hit on that. But Todd, with the CHIRP program, there's $952,000 that the county received. That is to deal with the hospitality industry that is for profit. The applications actually opened up yesterday. We got an update this morning, and people are starting to put in their applications, which is good, because, again, that's money to help that industry. And with that, and we can speak on the ERSAP program also, that's money that we have that was allocated for this county for those purposes, and we want to roll that out. I mean, we do not want to send a dime of that back, as we have stated before.
Yeah, okay, so is there a deadline such as the one that Lisa Spencer's been telling us about for the rent and utility assistance? Is there a deadline on these funds as well?
On the hospitality management, or the one for the housing assistance, Todd, the 65% of those dollars have to be used by July of this year. And then in the hospitality industry sector, like Mike said, the applications opened yesterday, and I believe the deadline and we're going to go in phases. We're going to take a first phase of applications, but they go through, is it June, guys? June 15th.
Yes, June 15th.
Yeah, June 15th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, and I believe the
deadline for CHIRP
is rental assistance is a kind of a rolling deadline.
Yeah,
it's open. So
we're taking them in phases so that I think the initial applications that were put in, Todd, for the hospitality sector were about 70 in total, and we are using a criteria because they come in $5,000 increments. The minimum is $5,000, and they can go up to but not exceed $50,000. But you can see with $952,000, we need to use a certain formula so that we can't have everybody putting in for $50,000 and expecting they're going to get all $50,000, because that would be exhausted very quickly. But we want to make sure that we're making people whole and addressing their needs. So these two things, as Commissioner Keith said, the hospitality sector, they have been very hard hit. They have been asking for assistance. This is hotel as well as hospitality. And then the rental assistance, we got $5.5 million of assistance there. So again, we need to exhaust those funds as quickly as possible, because if we don't by July, they're going to take those dollars back.
Yeah, absolutely. Need to get everything used that is eligible to be used for Indiana County. Mike, you mentioned a couple of moments ago the stimulus, and we know that our school districts are going to benefit greatly with stimulus funds. We had those figures on the air over the weekend. The county figure is pretty impressive as well. How will the county use some of those funds that are coming from the federal stimulus?
Well, like I'd mentioned before, we briefly got somewhat of like provisions where we can actually put that money towards, and but we're kind of thinking maybe it's going to be on the same roll as the prior funding that we received last year, the CARES funding. But one thing about that that is different from last year's CARES funding is local municipalities, your townships and boroughs in Indiana County, they also are being directed funding from the government to them, which did not happen last year. So each municipality in the county is actually going to receive part of those monies that was set aside for this also.
Yeah, that's terrific. And of course,
the really important thing about the $1.9 trillion that we're trying to get the message out, the commissioners of 5 counties here in southwestern Pennsylvania had a very good call with Senator Casey on Friday. And Senator Casey was kind enough to have his team on the phone with us, walking us through what we are calling a massive bill, obviously. He puts it in 3 parts. He puts it in vaccination, schools, and direct help to people. And I really like that because there's so many other pieces to this bill that aren't the direct funding to the municipalities and the counties. So it allows us to focus on government needs that were not met or shut down during COVID, like all industries and businesses, and to help alleviate, the tax dollars and make sure those services continue to be there for our folks. But there are other parts of the bill that address the vaccination, address schools and health and daycare. So we don't want people to not understand the $16.3 million that's coming directly to the county is there to really help them with the services that the county needs to continue to be serving for our people, as well as our municipalities and boroughs.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential that the county be able to do with its funds what it deems necessary, and then those municipalities, they've each got a little bit more space to breathe now than they had before. Commissioner Hess, good morning to you. We haven't had a chance to speak much with you this morning.
Well, good morning. Good morning. And yes, some of the things that we hope to really tackle or continue to tackle, the drug and alcohol issues with opioid. The opioid problem is still with us. We need, our agriculture is in need of help. There are just needs everywhere in our county, roads and bridges and some infrastructure, and we're going to continue our broadband expansion, and that's going very well. So there's no shortage of needs to help with. So we're looking forward to that $1.9 trillion. It just pumps billions into our local economies, and it's so evident when you go from town to town, and in any of our rural counties especially, that you can tell we have been through something in our rural areas, in our urban areas, everywhere. We've been through something, so we're really looking forward to pumping some money into our local economies and to helping people. This is a real lifeline.
Do folks in rural communities and even areas that are not really communities, just out in the country, do they have a firm grasp on how broadband is going to come to each of their areas?
Well, my sense is that it's a little murky about how that's actually going to happen. We're not hooking up. We're not doing things that hook the broad, internet connection right up to their very computer. We are doing the things, the infrastructure that make that possible, so that the providers can do that. And we're making some real progress, and it just seems like all the money is breaking all at once. So we're working with Appalachian Regional Commission on some money, and now this new infusion of money, and some of the dollars from the other stimulus package is at play here. So it's going to be a PR campaign, a public relations campaign as well, to get people to understand what they need to do next. But it is helping a lot.
I just got a picture.
Todd, one thing.
Yes, Mike.
One thing about Indiana County, I think, that actually has a little bit over the other counties is, we actually were looking into the broadband construction of this, and the thing is we've had our people, our planning, our emergency management, who is part of this, integral part of it, but they have been actually processing new construction that is going to be laid out in the future. So we're kind of ahead of the ball. All we have to do is get the monies in play and get the construction people into into that wave to actually start building this. It will continue down that road.
Yeah, see, I had
You're right, Mike. It's been many years that the former boards of commissioners and the planning office and our emergency management agency have all, been working steadily and with real intention up to this point. So being prepared has been very important for Indiana County.
Just a couple of moments left with our county commissioners. I wanted to touch on vaccine and how that has been rolling out in Indiana County and what sort of communications you have with the state, if any, about vaccine rollout and when the next big wave of vaccine is coming.
Well, actually, we have a call coming up here with Director Padfield from the Emergency Management Association and Dr. Allison Beam from the Department of Health for the County Commissioners Association. So we should hear real soon, but I think everyone is realizing it's starting to really roll out quickly now. And our IRMC and local providers are continuing to take registrations and refining that process as much as they can. I know they have clinics, I believe, this week and continuing on. So.
Todd, IRMC, with their willingness with their own vaccination to go over to the KCAC and form that relationship to offer to their own patients and those coming through IRMC, was really at the forefront of a catalyst in our state that for the public vaccination, working with our emergency management through PEMA and FEMA, are on the forefront. They've already put in application. We've been discussing it weekly with the hospital, the KCAC, and the commissioners. So the logistics for when we get the public vaccination and to be prepared for any increments that come, Indiana is well positioned and ready to go.
Yeah, I think the only thing that is causing some concern for folks is we have this instantaneous society now. We expect things to happen instantaneously, and when it doesn't, we're wondering, did they forget about us? And that's not the case at all.
It's a very good point and well said. We've really been dealing with that issue through this entire pandemic. You're right.
Oh, well, we'll keep waiting, and we'll wait to hear from those officials with the vaccine, and we want to thank all of you for being with us here this morning on Indiana in the Morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd. Have a great week.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, we'll see y'all. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.